Hi, my name's Ali Velasquez, and today I'm going to be talking about animal rights and abortion. The moral status of humans to non-human animals is a superior one, but it does not justify the infliction of death onto a non-human nor human. In this presentation, I will argue why a future like ours should be taken into account when deciding whether or not to kill an animal and a human. Therefore, I will provide an argument to support abortion only in cases of pregnancy harming the mother, and an argument to support eating meat only in cases where there is no other viable option. Using the future like ours argument created by Marquis causes us to examine what constitutes as a future like ours, and therefore asks of us what sacrifices need to be made to ensure maximization of happiness. Utilitarianism offers the best argument because questions of abortion and animal slaughter are not morally easy to answer. But ensuring maximum happiness seems to be the best way to answer these questions. We, animals and humans, all exist on the same planet with a common goal, to stay alive. All species are ranked on a certain plane of superiority, based on how significantly their desires and needs contribute to the betterment of Earth. As humans, we are the most superior species because we cause the most significant change, good and bad, to our planet. We set up governments, we fly to the moon, we build Walmarts, televisions, release greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, spill oil into our oceans, and are, in theory, able to communicate with all members of our species all across the globe. The fact that I'm sitting here making this argument on a computer that another member of my species created is a direct indication of our superiority. With this role of superiority over all species comes a great moral responsibility to protect those of our species and others because we have the capability to. Thompson, who supports the pro-choice argument, claims that calling a fetus a person from conception is misleading. She claims that a clump of cells is no more of a person than an acorn is to an oak tree. Further, forcing someone to undergo pregnancy after rape is hypocritical because both of those persons have the right to their own lives. Many feminists claim that there are certain psychological factors that play in when a woman is forced to carry a child that is a product of rape. However, this does not excuse killing anybody. What she suggests is that the abortion of a fetus is not the same as killing a person, but instead evicting them from a property in which they do not own. Women have this right because their body is their own and not her fetus's. Although rape is associated with psychological suffering, the pain that correlates with this is not worse than death. We should not punish a child because it is an unsolicited being. It is not their fault that the sperm and egg united. They're a product of a horrific crime. As Marquis suggests, killing an adult human being is bad because death deprives them of a future like ours. Having a future like ours that will involve all the experience, projects, and activities accumulated in a lifetime. Since the fetus has a future like ours, then it is wrong to kill it or even put it in a situation where it would be helpless as well. Because of the future like ours philosophy, the only instance where it would be acceptable to kill an adult human being is in self-defense. Therefore, the only instance where it would be acceptable to abort a fetus would be if the mother had some sort of disease in which she would die if she underwent pregnancy. Killing a fetus in the instance of rape is not permissible because rape is not worse than death, and this abortion does not count as self-defense of one's financial burdens. There are other means of reception for the child besides motherhood, namely adoption. This standpoint is supported by utilitarianism because it maximizes happiness. So how does this philosophy apply to animals? Many opponents of omnivores would argue that it is not permissible to kill animals because of the fear, pain, and torture they experience at the hands of people harvesting their meat. Many chickens are not killed until the fourth stage of slaughter. Also, philosophers like Thompson would argue that killing an animal is worse than having an abortion because in an abortion, one is not actually killing the fetus. Others, such as Peter Singer, call for equality among species because they claim that not condoning this equality is specious and is as harmful as being a racist. Therefore, he claims that we should not ask what each species is capable of doing because men and women should be equal, but both are not capable of doing things like abortion. but if they could suffer. Poland calls for animal domestication and slaughterhouse reforms because farms that give animals free range will allow them to abide by their own interests. But focusing on how the animal dies and what they feel during the death is irrelevant because they are still dying and that's all that matters. Further, humans can comprehend death more than animals can. Poland points out some differences between humans and other species. His first line of defense is that animals kill each other all the time to survive and humans do not. Second, domesticated animals cannot survive in the wild because they have known nothing but farms. Animals cannot have moral rights because they can't comprehend like a human can. This, however, is not to say that an animal cannot comprehend pain or even discomfort when separated from, say, one of their offspring. In fact, it was reported that a whale that was removed from her baby at SeaWorld did whale calls for several months after the incident. Also, there's no doubt at all the pain that a chicken is exposed to in being killed. So it's unfair to say the animal does not experience the same emotions and pain like a human does. But I keep saying this word animal like it describes all phyla of living things that are not humans. The truth is that all species are different, much like humans and banana bread are different. But because of this different species of animals, there are different levels of moral obligation to determine whether or not we should eat them. This moral obligation can be determined by the same philosophy of my previous argument derived from our key, whether or not they have a future like ours, and if they do not have a future like ours, it is okay to eat them. If not eating meat will hurt. It is okay to eat them if not eating meat will hurt you. Besides harvesting animals for necessary food, the only other acceptable circumstances of killing an animal would be self-defense. In this case, utilitarianism, the philosophical viewpoint of ensuring maximum happiness, would call for one's animal suffering to ensure the sustainability of another. A human dying of starvation is much more tragic than a chicken getting his throat slit because humans contribute more to our planet than a chicken. An example of an animal that would have a future like ours would be a penguin. When ready, penguins search their colonies to find the best suited mate for them. The male would then court the female by bringing her a pebble, and if the female accepts, they mate for life. This runs parallel to the goals of most humans. Even with the humans who are not looking for a specific mate for the rest of their lives, they are still superior than that of, say, a pig. Pigs will have multiple mates throughout their lifetimes. However, it is not a pig's instinct to be moral creatures or to form bonds with their mates. Their only instinct and goal is to reproduce. Therefore, eating a pig will not be morally wrong like eating a penguin, because pigs do not have futures like ours. What is morally wrong, though, is any unnecessary pain inflicted onto an animal. This is why we should only eat meat if we have to. For instance, as a college student, we are made to purchase meal plans, so we are required to eat in our cafeteria. Many may argue that we don't have to eat the meat in the cafeteria the staff has provided. However, these animals are already dead, and since we have already paid the $5,000, it is implausible for many to go to a grocery store and buy produce. Not to mention how inconvenient and time-consuming cooking is to the busy undergraduate. Also, college students are burning more fuel than the 30-year-old vegetarian. The majority of us stay up past 1 a.m. studying and working on projects, therefore we need extra protein to compensate for our lack of sleep. So unless our cafeteria, our main meal source, were to create vegetable-based options, then it is permissible for a college student to eat meat. Killing is only morally permissible in instances of self-defense. Utilitarianism offers the best argument because questions of abortion and animal slaughter are not morally easy to answer, but ensuring maximum happiness seems the best way to answer these questions.